Colin Firth lived a double life for 30 years, and no one knew until now. I always thought I had him figured out. Calm, polite, almost too composed. But the truth? There was another layer to him most people completely missed. And once I saw it, I couldn't look at him the same way again. Let me start in the middle, because that's where it gets interesting. Picture this: a man known for playing controlled, reserved characters, suddenly delivering one of the most emotionally raw performances of his career. That was Colin Firth in The King's Speech. And I remember thinking, that didn't feel like acting. That felt personal, like he understood struggle on a level he wasn't showing publicly. And that's when the idea of a double life started to make sense. Because on one side, you have the image, the English gentleman, measured, elegant, always in control, the kind of presence that feels effortless. But behind that, a very different journey. Now, go back for a second. Before the fame, before Pride and Prejudice made him iconic, he wasn't confident, not naturally. In fact, he's admitted to feeling like an outsider, quiet, observing more than speaking. And I didn't expect that, because when you see him on screen, he looks like someone who owns every room. But internally, he was still figuring himself out. And I think that split never really went away. Now, here's where things get more real. Because his career didn't explode overnight. It built slowly, carefully, and for years. He was working consistently, but not dominating. Then suddenly, Mr. Darcy, and everything changes. Global recognition, instant identity. And I kept thinking, what happens when one role defines you like that? Do you lean into it? Or try to escape it? He tried to do both, and that's where the double life starts to show. Because while audiences saw romance, he was choosing roles that were darker, more complex, almost like he was trying to prove something to himself more than anyone else. Then comes his personal life, and this part is quiet, but important. He wasn't chasing headlines. He stayed in long-term relationships, built a family, kept things private, almost deliberately. And I noticed something. He protected his real life the same way he controlled his performances, carefully, intentionally. But even then, life doesn't stay simple. His marriage to Livia Giugioli, it lasted decades. But later, it became complicated. There were reports, controversies, emotional strain. And I remember thinking, even someone who seems so stable can still go through chaos quietly. And that's the part people don't always see. Because when your public image is perfect, you don't get to show the cracks. You hide them. Now come back to his work again. Because this is where everything connects. Films like A Single Man feel different, more internal, more reflective. Like he's not just performing, he's revealing something. And I didn't expect that shift to feel so personal. Because suddenly, the quiet man we thought we knew starts showing depth we hadn't seen before. And then, The King's Speech. And it all comes together. A man struggling internally while trying to appear strong externally. And I couldn't ignore it anymore. That's not just a character. That's a reflection of someone who's lived with that duality for years. Now at this stage of his life, he's still working, still respected, but different. Less about image, more about substance. And I think that's what stayed with me. Because this isn't a story about a hidden scandal or some shocking secret. It's quieter than that. It's about living between two identities, the one the world expects and the one you actually feel, and managing both for decades without letting either fall apart. And honestly, that might be the hardest role anyone can play. Because in the end, Colin Firth didn't just act in complex stories. He lived one, quietly, without ever needing to explain it.